More and more diesels had been arriving on the Fat Controllers Railway. Most of the engines had come to accept them. All except James. James had never liked them, and none of the other engines could convince him otherwise.
Well, they're alright engines. They're just mixed traffic like you and me at the end of the day.
Mixed up engines, you mean? James snorted. With windows at each end, how do they know if they're coming or going? What about Toby? What's about Toby? Well, he's got 2 cabs and he seems to get on alright. Toby's only a little engine, James scoffed. If an important engine like me didn't know which way to turn, whatever would the railway come to?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Bear said, but Gordon once told me something about an engine went for a spin on the turntable, went in all sorts of directions. Would you happen to know anything about that? All the engines laughed as James shut right up. He snorted away in a cloud of steam.
I'm the one who has to come up a logo. And shunting. Whatever is this railway coming to make a splendid engine like me do such dirty work?
A few days later, James pulled into the junction making an awful racket.
James, whatever are you on about now? The Fat Controller is making me come up a boko while he's at the works. Oh well, I suppose if I'm to burden myself with such work, I can at least show Boko a thing or two about how us steam engines do things.
And with that, he chortled away, leaving Thomas to roll his eyes. Presently, James arrived at Edward Station. And the yardmaster walked up to him.
Morning, James. You'll be due out with a goods train soon. Best get it ready.
James looked round and noticed the trucks scattered all over the yard. He looked back at the yardmaster.
So, where is this train then?
I just told you you'll need to shunt it.
Excuse me?
Now, James was never a great shunter, but that day his sour mood made him even worse at it. To add to that, the weather in the night had left the morning damp and fog hung in the air. The signalman had a hard time seeing where James was. The driver had assured him that when they were done, they would whistle so that he could set the points to the branch. James grumbled as he collected his last 2 wagons, a pair of low loaders. They had bogies at each end and a low section in the middle. James was so busy thinking about what he would say to Boko when they next met, that he didn't realise what he was doing.
Boko just thinks he can go off on evil steam engines to cover his work. And that bear, thinking he can take the mick out of me. Huh, I could think again. The nerve of those engines.
James was so cross he blew his whistle loudly without thinking. The signalman, thinking it was James signalling that he was done, set the points to the main line. One of the well wagons was halfway over the points when they switched. One bogie went one way, the other went another. James didn't realise what was happening until it was too late.
Stop! Stop!
Whoops.
Presently, Edward arrived with the Fat Controller.
You know, James, signals do take quite a while to repair.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
You wanted to show Boko something, did you not? You've only shown him what happens when you don't pay attention. I've half a mind to keep you shunting here till you've learned your lesson.
James stared.
But I won't. No, when Boko comes back, he will take over your usual jobs for a while until I can trust you again. Until then, you'll do his. Now go to your shed.
Yes, sir.
Later that night, James backed quietly into the sheds, much to the surprise of the others.
I suppose it's hard to know which way you're travelling when you have 2 cabs, whispered a voice. But to go 2 ways at once with only 1 cab, that really is something.
The engines burst out laughing, all except James, who sheepishly pretended he hadn't heard.